Hi, I'm a Blisy.
So the first part of this guide is going to be the ally chaining part. And if you don't know, when a Pokemon calls for help, and you KO that Pokemon and it calls for help again, the more Pokemon that have appeared that called for help, it increases shiny chance, it increases the EVs they give, it increases the chance for a hidden ability, and most importantly, it guarantees better IVs the longer you keep the chain alive. And so what you're going to need is tools specifically designed to make chaining as efficient as possible. So the first thing you need is a false swiper. This is my Marowak. The whole point of him is just to false swipe the Pokemon to 1 HP. So the second Pokemon you're going to need is the KOer. And so this guy is going to KO the allied Pokemon over and over again until we get to that juicy chain of 30 where they'll have 4 perfect IVs. And the reason you want to do this is because you could start with just a random crappy one and then breed away. But I like ally chaining because it's very consistent. You can, it's not necessarily quicker than breeding, but it's less frustrating because it's easier to get what you want out of this. So he has 2 attacking moves that have 16 PP. It's basically it just exists to help me count. So once I get to 30, I'll be at a 2 PP on Psychic, I believe, or something like that. Roleplay, Alakazam is pretty handy knowing this. It copies the target's ability. So this is good if you're looking for a specific ability on the Pokemon. So for example, I'm going for Rufflet, and I want it to have its hidden ability, which I believe is Hustle, and then that turns into Defiant on Braviary. So I'm going to use Roleplay to make sure I have a Pokemon with Hustle. And this is important for hidden abilities because the 2 regular abilities, those can switch at whenever. They can switch as much as they want. But the hidden ability, if you don't start with a baby and a parent that have the hidden ability, then you're never going to be able to get the hidden ability through breeding. And Alakazam also acts as my synchronizer. It's an atom in nature. It's got the ability Synchronize. That's just to help potentially get into the nature I want. It doesn't have to be, because you probably should have a Ditto for the breeding part with the nature you want, but this could just be nice in case you don't. And the last one is my, basically just my statuser. My Executor just knows Sleep Powder. That's it. That's the one thing there. Okay, so now we're going to get started with the chain. So, oh, and the last, actually before I start, you do need an item called the Adrenaline Orb. I usually have it in here. Basically, the item description explains it all. It just makes wild Pokemon more likely to call for help. So you're going to want to have the, if the Synchronizer has the nature you want it to be in the front of your party. If it doesn't, then the Synchronize will work with whoever's in the lead of your party. So, for example, I believe my Executor, I don't know if it is good. It's got Timid nature. So if I wanted a Timid Pokemon, I'd have Executor in the lead, but then I would keep my Alakazam out in battle, and it would be a chance of Synchronize getting the nature that my Christina here has. Okay. So, but I'm keeping Alakazam in the lead because it's got the nature I want. So anyway, hopefully this is a Rufflet. I'm going to pause until I get one. That's Spearow. Alright, so I got my Rufflet. And, so the first thing you're going to do is, since I'm leading with my Synchronizer, he's on my False Swiper. So you have to go into your False Swiper if you did not lead with them. And, Alakazam is a Pokemon I really, really, really recommend for chaining. I think it's got everything you want from it. It's such a good Pokemon for this. 2 perfect accuracy moves, it's very powerful, and it knows roleplay. Super, super great. But it only learns roleplay before you evolve it. Okay, so, as you can see, I false swiped it to 1 HP. Now it's sitting at 1 HP. It didn't call for help. Even if it does call for help, you should always use Adrenaline Orb right away. And this just makes it very, very likely that it's going to call for help. Poof, there's my little guy. So, what I'm going to do now is go into my Alakazam. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Alright. So, the point here is, at this point, this is where it gets fairly boring. So, the only thing we care about currently is the stats. And we really have no good way of checking the stats for this Rufflet, what it's going to be. So it's going to have 4 perfect stats, when we catch it, hopefully, after we kill 30 of these things. So, right now the boring part is just getting to 30. And once we get to 30 KOs, and I'm going to count that by Psyshock, or whatever. No, it didn't call for help. So if it doesn't call for help, this is actually a good example. You can just use Adrenaline Orb again. It'll say it had no effect, but you won't waste your Adrenaline Orb. And a good tip to note also is I like to have animations turned off. It just makes the battle go a little bit quicker. Some of you guys very helpfully mentioned in my previous videos. I keep forgetting to have that listed. So it's fine if it doesn't call for help. It's pretty much just random if you're going to get it or not. As long as he's trying to call for help every turn, that'd be lovely. There you go, there's my guy. So, at this point, you just spam Psyshock over and over, or whatever your KO is, whatever your move is. And like I said, I like to use the PP to count for where I'm at. So, 16 plus 16 is obviously 32. So you just want to have 2 PP left on your second move here. So my second move is Psychic, and I just want to have 2 PP on Psychic, and that means I'm ready to start looking for the real capture. But at this point, I don't have too much more advice to go on here, guys. So what I'm going to do is, I don't want to cut it out entirely, because I want to keep this filmed. But what I'm going to do probably is, yeah, I'm probably going to cut out the footage until I get 30. Let's see. So I will see. Oh, and one more thing I'd like to mention. This happens to me before. If you're kind of not paying attention, because this is kind of like a mind-numbing situation, right? If you let's say I accidentally picked the original Rufflet, that does not break your chain. So if you kill this guy and then the new one is still alive, all you have to do is false swipe the new one down to 1 HP and just keep KO it. He'll call for allies again, and you'll keep doing that. It won't break your chain or anything like that. It's not a big deal. The only thing that can actually break your chain is if you run away from it. And do not status the first one that appears, because statusing this guy right here, it makes him very, very, very unlikely to call for help. I believe he still can, but it's very unlikely. So now I'm going to pause the video until I'm at 30. Okay, so we are at a chain of 30. And you could tell by my PP on my moves. So I accidentally killed an extra one because I was kind of zoned out. So, like I said, I'm going for a specific hidden ability. And you got to keep in mind, the hidden abilities cannot be changed by ability capsules. And you need to have one when you start breeding. With a regular, his 2 abilities are Keen Eye and Sheer Force, and then his hidden ability is Hustle, which becomes Defiant when he evolves. So if I catch a Keen Eye one, I could hatch a Sheer Force one, but I could never hatch a Hustle one. So I need this to have Hustle, and that's where Roleplay comes in. So I'm going to use Roleplay on this Pokemon, and we'll see what ability it has. It has Hustle, which is the ability I want, which is sick. Alright, so now we're going to move on to the capturing part of this. So, phase 1 is KO original Rufflet. Boom, he's dead. Alright, now we gotta hope this new guy doesn't call for help. Alright. Phase 2 is go into Marowak. Actually, it's probably better to put him to sleep first. I'm gonna go into Christina here. So, the thing is, I'm very worried about KOing him, but hopefully it stays asleep for 3 turns. That'd be lovely. So, oh, he's calling for help anyway. Actually, don't even know if I have a single target move. Alright, it didn't appear. That's very good. So, I'm going to sleep powder this guy. So it's sleep. Hopefully, it'll stay asleep for when I switch, and then for when I use false swipe. Because it's quite a while. Alright. Shadow, or false swipe it. Obviously, we're not going to shadow bone it. So I was questioning as to whether it would be better or not to... Alright, so he's asleep. And now we're just going to use the Pokeball we want. So I really want it in a fastball. I think aesthetically it goes pretty well with with Rufflet here is my only fastball, I think. Lure Ball I'm saving for that Totodile. I can't wait to catch Totodile with a Lure Ball with the hidden ability. So anyway, hopefully this catches it. Sick. Alright, now that's pretty much step 1 complete. This Pokemon will have 4 perfect stats, and it could have perfect special attack, which would be unfortunate, but luckily every other stat we want to be perfect. I've apparently never caught a Rufflet before. I did catch Braviary. Wow, I'm on fire. Oh, they're like Saiyans. Did you read that Pokedex entry? Every time they faint, they become stronger. They're like Saiyans. Alright. So at this point, what we're going to want to do is fly back to the daycare area. Which I think is... wait, no, it's this one. I was trying to find the correct marker. So we're about to move on to the breeding part, but what I want to do first before I, the little title card and all that jazz comes over to this part. She has some Pokemon with me. But, I don't even remember what I was breeding. So, what I want to do is, I want to show you guys the actual proof of this thing working. So, as you can see, this Rufflet's got 4 perfect stats. It is... unfortunately, one of them is special attack, so for our purposes, he's basically got 3 perfect stats, which is still fine. That's still a very good thing to be able to work with. He unfortunately does not have the same nature as my synchronizer, but that's not too big of a deal because what we can easily do is pair him with one of my many beautiful Dittos here. So, in the next part, we're going to start breeding, and I'm going to get everything all set up for that. So, see you in the second part. Okay, everybody, so this is going to be the breeding section of the guide, and I'm going to go over all the different details about breeding and how you can get the Pokemon that you want the fastest. So, if you were able to ally chain for your Pokemon, that's great. It should have 4 perfect stats. Hopefully, all of them are useful, unlike my Rufflets, which only has 3 stats that are useful. The special attack is perfect, which I don't necessarily want. So you're going to have to breed it with a Ditto of the nature you want. So, I have an Adamant Ditto here. He's just chilling. Before you get anything underway, you're going to want to make sure your Pokemon has no egg moves. And, male Pokemon cannot have egg moves. So, that's very lucky because, male-only Pokemon cannot have egg moves. Because of the way passing down works, which I will explain very briefly now. Basically, certain Pokemon learn moves through parents from different species. So, I can't explain this with Braviary because he's 100% male, which means every time you breed Braviary with a different species that's not his, it will not be a Rufflet egg because only the female is what determines what comes out of the egg. So there can never be a female Braviary, which means if you ever breed him with a Pokemon that is compatible, that's different than him, it's a female, and it won't be a Braviary egg. So he cannot have any egg moves. But basically, you should just go into Cerebi, whatever Pokemon you're doing, and check out if they got any egg moves you want. So for Alligator, my favorite Pokemon, we're going to use an example here. So if you just scroll down to a section, it'll say egg moves. These are Pokemon it can only learn if you breed a female Totodile with a Pokemon that knows this move that's compatible with Totodile. Now, it'll even work if you have a male Totodile with like Aqua Jet and Dragon Dance. You shouldn't ever use that combo, but whatever. And you breed it with a female Totodile. The female Totodile will get those, or the egg will get those, and it will be a Totodile, but you need to have them. So Cerebi here will tell you what Pokemon learn these moves through level up that you can breed. And so basically all this would amount to is hatch eggs until you get a female of the Pokemon you're breeding. Then go get one of these guys. Hopefully you can chain them or get an easier perfect stat of these guys and pass the moves on to them. So, for example, if I wanted Aqua Jet on my Feraligatr, it's a level up move in Sun and Moon, I would go catch one of these. I'd go find one of these Pokemon that I could chain. I would chain them to have max stats, and then I would catch a male one with Aqua, and then I'd get it to the level it learns Aqua Jet, and then I would breed it with my female Totodile, and that's how you do egg moves. I cannot do this. Braviary is a male only, because so he cannot have any egg moves. So I don't got any egg moves, which is great. It makes my life easy. So the next thing we're going to cover is the items we need. So the first item is the Oval Charm. This just increases the rate at which eggs appear at the daycare or nursery, I guess. This is pretty cool because since you're breeding with 2 of your own Pokemon, one of which is a Ditto, the eggs would normally appear very slowly. So now it's gonna pick that rate up, and I'll explain how that works in 1 second. You get this from Morimoto in the Game Freak building. It's the building right next to Professor Burnett's lab. It's pretty. You just have to battle him once, and he'll give it to you after you beat him. He's got pretty strong Pokemon, but nothing you shouldn't be able to beat if you've already beaten the Elite Four. So the next thing you're going to need is the Everstone. Basically what this does is it passes on the nature of the Pokemon you put it onto, which is my Ditto. And so my babies will all now guaranteed have adamant natures, because my Ditto is an adamant nature and it holds the Everstone. It also, if your Pokemon has more than one ability, that's not the hidden ability, whichever ability it has is more likely to be given if you're holding the Everstone. So, for example, if my Rufflet had Sheer Force, not Hustle, because Hustle is the hidden ability, it doesn't really work with hidden abilities. If my Rufflet had Sheer Force, it would be much more likely to have Sheer Force in the eggs than it would the other ability, which I think is Keen Eye. You can get Everstones. The easiest way is Roggenrola has a 50% chance to be holding this, so just go catch like 2 Roggenrolas and you'll get it. Destiny Knot. This is basically, you get this from the Battle Royale zone thing. It's like 48 BP, I think, or whatever. It's pretty expensive, but it's very, very worth it. Normally, when you're passing on stats from Pokemon, it is only guaranteed to pass around 2 individual stats from either parent. With the Destiny Knot, it's guaranteed to pass 5 stats down, which is huge. My Ditto's got 5 stats, my Rufflet's got 3 stats that I want. That's very quickly going to add up and hopefully very easily give me the Rufflet that I want. So I'm going to drop my Destiny Knot here. I'm going to give this to my Rufflet here. And then you're just going to drop both of them in the daycare. So it's pretty simple. And I have an egg with me. That's just a leftover from a different breeding thing. I think it's an Igglybuff. And I'm about to explain the mechanics for actually how breeding works. Okay, so you're going to go out here and you're going to talk to this lady. She'll tell you, Alola. They don't seem to like each other much. That is the lowest level of the 2 Pokemon liking each other, and each level is basically how fast they produce eggs, and it determines and it's determined by a few things. It's determined by what species the Pokemon are. It's determined by what their trainer ID is, and that's it. So you basically, the fastest combination is same species, different trainer. Then the next fastest combination is same species, same trainer, or different species, same trainer. Both of those last 2 are the same exact level of effectiveness, and then different species, same trainer is the slowest. You can never get the fastest with male-only Pokemon, but I don't have a different trainer with a good Ditto to work with here. So anyway, once you do that, you're going to make sure you have a Pokemon who's got the ability... Magby's got here, I think it's Flame Body. I believe Magma Armor also works the same. If you click the ability info, I don't think it lists it. Yeah, it's not listing it, but basically it also increases the rate at which eggs hatch. Okay, so from there on, what you're going to want to do... Oh, wow, she has an egg for me already. If you notice her pose changes when she has an egg, so you just talk to her, grab your egg. So just accept your egg. And what I like to do is hatch all 5 eggs right away, basically. And so you're going to run into here. You're going to get on your Tauros. You're going to hold B and you're just going to spin around in circles. And this is the best way, in my opinion, to get eggs quickly. You don't really have to pay too much attention. You just kind of spin the joystick around, and you can see if she has an egg for you. It's pretty simple stuff. And she will change her pose in front of you like live. She has an egg for you. So that's pretty handy. I mean, pretty much all the daycare people anyway would either like yell at you or they would change their position. Oh, that's my Igglybuff probably, to be honest with you. Yeah, there it is. It's chilling. I'm not gonna nickname it. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna spin around until one of my egg hatches, and then I'll come back to you guys. Okay, so what I usually like to do for the first round is when I have I only got 2 eggs before she just hasn't given me any, and I hatched both of my rufflets already. So what I like to do is I like to just go whenever all my eggs are hatched and she doesn't have anything for me. I like to just go on the PC and check on them, see what I got here. This is an Igglybuff, might as well. Well, I'm just gonna put this in the Garbo batch. If anyone wants it, you can have it. Okay, so let's check my rufflets now. So first you want to check the abilities. Oops. This one's got Hustle. This one has Sheer Force. So this one is no better than the one we put in the PC initially because it still only has 3 perfect stats that are useful to us. So you're going to go into this box. And this one is better in terms of stats, but it has Sheer Force. So we're going to drop that there. And it's just back to the breeding grind for me. And I'll probably meet you guys when I have my next round of eggs hatched. And the reason I didn't put any of those new rufflets in is because neither of them were really superior to the father that's in there currently. Okay. So this is, I got a full batch of, actually I got 6 this time. I accidentally sent, it's a long story. I hatched 6 eggs, and now we're going to go check all my guys out and see which is the best new father. And she's still got an egg waiting for me. So usually with this kind of breeding, when you start with ally chaining, it should only take 2 or 3 rounds tops to get the stats that you need. So I believe this one's Sheer Force, so what are your stats though? Okay, good. So first we take out all of the ones whose stats are useless to me. Or not stats, ability is useless to me. Your hustle, your hustle. Alright, so we lost two of the abilities here, but the rest have hustle, which is good. So we're going to judge you now. Alright. Wow, none of these are very great. This one is... this one's looking like the best because he has 4 perfect stats where I want them to be. Right? Yeah, actually, you're good. You are my guy. You're excellent. So first thing we got to do is take the egg back from you. Yes, 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 I know. And then what you do here, and actually, good thing is after the initial round of breeding, you could swap the items on the. We take Ditto and the Rufflet back. You could swap the items on them because the Rufflet now has the ability and the nature that you want. So it's a good idea to just put the Everstone on that parent because you could just drop the Destiny Knot on Ditto there. I know it doesn't necessarily, I don't believe it applies to hidden abilities. I could be completely wrong about that, but I'm just doing it for whatever's sake. Let's go to Pokemon. So we're gonna do held item. I'm still not used to the held item being on like this, just the X button or whatever, I guess. Okay. So this time around we should have a very good chance of getting these stats that we want. So just gonna drop the new Pokemon off, and it's funny enough, despite the fact that it's Fairly creepy and incestual when you think about this. They actually like each other just the same as the original parent would have, so that's neat. So I would predict in this round of 5 eggs, or the next round of 5 eggs, you'll actually probably get the parent, or not the parent, the child that you want. And this is my initial one. He's going in the box. And I'm going to ride around until I get some eggs, and I'll pause when they're all hatched. See you soon, guys. Okay, so I've hatched 5 more rufflets. And we're ready to go investigate them. And she's got an egg for me chilling there. Alright. So let's organize by ability. Kenai. 2. That's unfortunate. So you're going to go here, you're going to go here, and then you're Kenai as well. Oof. Oof. 3 of them are gone just to ability alone. Alright, what do we got? Oh no, you're horrible. Oh no, you're also horrible. Oh, this is tragic. How could this happen? Well. Well. It's time to just go again, I guess. Alright. And another batch of 5. Hopefully we can get the 1 in this one. This batch right here. Let's see what we got. Hustle. Alright, we lost 2 to hustle, which is to different abilities, which is unfortunate. Alright, let's see what we got. Aha! There's my beautiful boy. And you are... these 2 are hideously ugly. Hideously ugly boys, so you can go in the box. Alright, so this is my perfect little rufflet here. Alright, the next step is EV training. And I'm unsure as to how I'm going to go about this, but I'll see you in the EV training portion of the guide. Okay, so now is the EV training portion of the guide. And the first step is passing Pokerus onto this little guy here. So I have a Pokemon with an active Pokerus on it, which is shown by, it just says Pokerus like that. Inactive is shown by this happy face. When it's the happy face, you still gain the benefits of Pokerus, but it's no longer passable. And the way to preserve that is just to keep it in the PC box. And the way that you pass Pokerus along is you just get into a battle and then you run away. And eventually it will be passed on to your little teammate. I got my moist here. And I'm going to run away. And then hopefully, if I'm lucky, my rufflet will have Pokerus. If I'm unlucky, it won't have Pokerus, and I'll just have to get into another battle and waste all of your time. I'm lucky. I'm a lucky man. Okay, cool. That's sick. Alright, so next up is EV training. But before we do EV training, there's something you could do to speed it up a little bit if you want. You can go to... where are we? We're on a Colo? No, yeah, this is the one we want to be on. No, we want to be on Ulula. So we want to go to Mount Hukulani, and we go to the Pokemon Center there. And you want to buy the vitamins. And the vitamins are really, really expensive. You can also get them at the Battle Royale Dome for 2 BP each, but money is less valuable than the BP, in my opinion, so I prefer to do this. So, if you go over here, talk to this guy, he'll sell you the vitamins. And I believe they give 10 points per, and you can only use a max of 10 on them. So I'm going to be HP and attack EV training them. And we're also going to be doing some defense. Oh, actually I want 2 irons. And we're special defense. We want 2 of these. So this will get me a jump. Get a little jump start on my EV training. So we go in the bag here. So we can use all of these, and we'll get 100 attack EVs. There you go. HP up. This is going to be 100 HP EVs, which is pretty sweet. And then we're going to use... oh, I must have had an iron already. Where's my iron? I would have had one already, so I'm going to use 2 of these. Don't want to use the third one. We're going to use a zinc on rufflet here. So then, just to show you, I will buy one. I'll buy one more attack, actually, just to prove that you can't. So we're going to do protein. Because I did 100 already, but, like, it won't, I believe, unless they've changed this. Why don't you do this? It won't have any effect. There you go. So I have 100 attack, 100 HP, and I have 20 in both defenses. And now I'm just going to complete my EV training. And so I've covered this a lot in other videos. I've covered this pretty extensively. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to list all of the spots I like to train in off for you guys, and you guys can click them to go to the individual videos, and then maybe I'll just do a little quick montage as to my training. So, but what I am going to do first is show you some stuff that you'll need. So, as I briefly explained in the previous video, the stuff that you're gonna need a few. The ally, not previous video, the previous section, the ally chaining. That increases the EVs when you KO Pokemon. So that's what we're going to be using to EV train properly. And so for that, you're going to need a false swiper. However, since the natures don't matter and finding out what ability the Pokemon has does not matter, you just need a false swiper and a KOer, in which case my Marowak fits the bill very well. False swipes the first guy, Shadow Bones everything to death. It's beautiful. He's my guy, and then you need the XP share on, because Rufflet obviously can't do any fighting himself, so we're going to make sure the XP share is on. It's on. So that way the EVs will get passed the XP share to him. Then you're going to need some items. Obviously you need the Adrenaline Orb, which can be bought at any mart for 300. That'll increase the likelihood of them calling for help. Then you can go here, talk to this lady, and you can buy all of the power items. These increase the EV of a specific stat that it lists here by 8 every time you KO Pokemon. And then the rest is explained in my other videos. So the spots that I like to EV train in are, so for HP, there's a few options, but I like to do mostly, if you can, Drifloon is fine for HP, but I also like to do Caterpie. And Caterpie can be done off of Metapod as well, because Metapod won't ever call Metapod, so he'll only ever call Caterpies. So, like Caterpie for HP. For attack, I prefer Young Goose. For defense, I prefer Geodudes or Torkoals, that they can both be found in that area. For special attack, I like Magnemite the best. It's next to the trainer school, has a very high encounter rate. For special defense, I prefer Tentacruel in one of the oceans. And then for speed, I prefer Spearow. And those are all the stats I like. So I'm going to go do some EV training now. Okay, so once you're done EV training, one of the things you can do to confirm that you've completed the training, so you go into the summary, you hit Y here on the screen. If the stat is blue like this, like if this whole thing is blue, that means you've completed the EV training properly, or that you've completed it, that the stat's maxed out. And the only other way is in the Battle Royale Dome, there is a woman who will give your Pokemon the effort ribbon. So you have to have them in the front of your party. So if I go over here, this woman will give me the effort ribbon. So now that we've completely EV trained our Pokemon, we've got all the so it's fully EV trained. That means its stats are all where we want them to be. Now we just have to do one final thing and level our little Rufflet guy up. And obviously get the attacks we want onto him. So if you had to do egg moves, you'll have the egg moves on, but if you don't have to do egg moves, we're going to be leveling them up, and we're going to be putting the TMs and such on that we might need. So that's the next part. Okay, so the final portion is leveling up, and I had a lot of trouble figuring out what the best way to level up is. And I'm still not 100% sure, but the point is, getting to level 50 does not actually take very long. So what I'm going to do, I think the best way to do this is to start off by going to Pokemon Refresh. And oh, this is my Tabu Bullet. Oops. But so you're going to go into Pokemon Refresh, and you're going to give them 3 or so. You basically just give them Rainbow Beans until they're completely full. That'll perfectly max out their affection. Hey, little buddy. So if you go here, if you use the Pokepalago. Oh, no, whoop, oh jeez, I just threw a bean. Oh, I'm sorry. Just threw a bean out. So if you go to the Rainbow Beans, just give him the Rainbow Beans. He'll level up his affection right here, and leveling up affection gives bonus EXP. The same as if they were traded. Now, I'm not positive if this stacks with Lucky Egg, but I think it's usually 3. Yeah, I think this is the last one he's going to want. But I do this and then I put Lucky Egg on anyway. Again, I'm not positive as to the mechanics, but you know, it can't hurt really, to be honest. This takes like 2 seconds, so he doesn't want it. So then the last thing I do is I just give him a little petting until his it turns to music notes, so that way his enjoyment is also at max. And the Rainbow Beans, it's not too hard to get a lot of them if you just play around in the Pokepalago. Like, if you just do it once a day, you'll get, like, I have 60 Rainbow Beans, like, you'll get that no problem. So all we have to do is, once this changes to music notes, I will be ready to go. And then you're just going to put the Lucky Egg on him, and you're just going to go through the Elite Four, or round 2, hopefully, with as quickly as you can. And usually, I'd say it only takes 1 round through the Elite Four to get him to 50. This guy evolves at 54, so I might have to do 2 rounds, and the reason we're aiming for 50 is because VGC Pokemon only have to be level 50 in order to battle, and same with all the cartridge Wi-Fi metas, all level 50. So he's got music note. So if you can see here, we go into the switch thing. He's got max everything, so he's going to get some bonus experience points, which is pretty sweet. He actually likes me more than my starter does. It's just funny. So I'm going to get out of here. Back into your prison. And then from here on, I'm just going to drop a Lucky Egg on him. Into my bag, and that's pretty much it. I think it's my favorites. Okay, we're going to drop Lucky Egg on him. Make sure EXP share is turned on. It is. And then from there, I just have a team that's capable of beating the Elite Four. So I'm not going to do the tedium of showing me beating the Elite Four. I might show me just like knocking out the champion. Plus, I don't want to spoil who the Elite Four is if you haven't played the game yet, but you're like looking at this guy for some reason. Stuff like that. So I'm going to head into Elite Four. I'm probably just going to show the clip of me beating the champion, and then I'll show you what level I'm at, and we'll see how well it went. Alright, so I just beat the Elite Four once. Took maybe 15 minutes. I think my Rufflet got to level 43 or 44 from like level 12, so that was pretty good. So now the best option is just to do it again. So I think it should heal. Yeah, it heals every yeah. My Rufflet's at 43. So I'm just gonna go another round, and I'll notify you what's up when I'm done with that. All right, so we're at the final moments of the tutorial. So I finished my second Elite Four run. And I got my boy Braviary. It's level 54, and it learned superpower upon leveling up into whatever. So the last few things you need to do to get ready is you gotta teach him the moves you want it to learn. So I believe the move reminder's in here. I think it's this lady. Yes. Oh, the heart scale's on my Alakazam. That's right. So for the move reminder, you need heart scales. You can get them off of love discs. You can either catch the love disc or use the move thief to steal the item. So I'm going to teach Braviary Brave Bird with the heart scale right here. And now I'm not sure if I want Tailwind to be his final move. It's either Tailwind or Whirlwind. I don't know if I'm gonna... Protect is so good. Like, you kind of need Protect in VGC, but... I don't know. And I got Rock Slide. Rock Tube is an interesting way for speed control. I don't know if it does spread, though. No, I don't think so. Anyway, I'm doing Rock Slide. Rock Slide was the play move. It's actually really cool how Braviary gets really good coverage. It's Superpower, Rock Slide, and Brave Bird. That hits a lot of different Pokemon. And it hits a lot of Pokemon normally weak to his dual stab. Yeah, but no, Protect is a really good move on Braviary. On any VGC Pokemon. Yeah. And besides, wait, I'm trying to think of what else I want to say. So besides teaching him the last few moves, you also would want, I think PP ups. Do I have some? Do I have any PP maxes? I don't think I have any. So anyway, the point is you want to, like, because if you take a look at, these are much harder to come by. You can get them from the Pokepelago, and you can get them from the, what's the other thing called? Not the Pelago, the, like the online thing from Nintendo. But anyway, like, if you look here, Superpower only has 5 PP. You can get that to be like 8 with all the PP ups. You could only use 3 per move. So those are the best. And that's it. Otherwise, you have a completely competitive ready Pokemon. My Braviary knows all the moves I want it to know. And from here on, it's just building a team and deciding the items, which I'm not going to do in this video. But I really appreciate you guys watching. Let me know if I left anything out. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. I know this was a bit of a long one, but yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.